you're watching Gearz, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
You know, one question that we get a lot is, what is a good vehicle to pick up that you can drive and restore and enjoy all at the same time and not spend a lot of money? Well, that's a good question. And if you're into cars, an old luxury car like a T-Bird or a Satellite or a Caprice is a great choice because you can usually pick them up pretty cheap, and they've kind of been overlooked by the hot rod world. But if you want something even cheaper, it's kind of hard to beat an old pickup from the 70s or 80s. Now, these old square body Chevys were popular back in the day, and they're even more popular now. But if you want one cheap, well, it's going to be fairly rough, like this one is, especially in the interior, because that's where all the wear and tear happen. But that is not really a problem, because it's really easy to bring these interiors back to life and even change the color if you want to. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this 83 Chevy, we're going to show you how to get rid of this mess and make it livable again. And I'm going to keep these vice grips. Okay, the first step is always the funnest and the nastiest, and that is stripping out the old seat and carpet to see what you got to work with. Now, make sure you set any parts aside that you think you can reuse, and make a note of what you're going to have to replace. Also, don't be surprised at what you might find hiding in an old truck like this. If you find any money, we split it. Now, once you have the seat out, you can actually do a little detective work here and kind of figure out what kind of life the vehicle has lived and what kind of people have owned it. For example, you see we got some receipts here. There's a gas station. That looks like Taco Bell. So you can see where the guy's been hanging out. And then, by these pine needles and leaves, obviously one of the owners was a hunter. And we got some business cards here. That says, "Is something missing in your life?" Okay. Then there's some change laying around. And look up here. You got all kinds of broken glass. So obviously somebody threw a rock through the window at one time. You have what looks like a deodorant cap. So obviously somebody went on a date in the truck. And then, of course, you got a CD. Let's see who it is. Oh, Leonard Skinner. With the old carpet out of the way, next we'll pull out the sound deadening pad and keep our fingers crossed that the floor isn't all rusted out. Wow, this one looks amazingly good for a 30-year-old 4x4. Okay, now we're going to move on to the dash and the door panels and get those out of the way. Once again, keeping anything that's good that we might reuse and tossing the junk. All right, once you have your floor cleaned up, now you need to give it a good, honest look over. Because if you have rust holes, you have got to weld them up and fix them. You can't just cover it up, pretend like they're not there, because they will get worse on you. And that means that your project just got a little more involved. But we have shown you how to fix and repair rusty floors plenty of times in the past, so it's definitely something that you're capable of. Now, as you can see, our floors are in excellent shape. They just have some surface rust on the floor pans themselves. So we're going to stop that with this POR 15. Now, POR stands for paint over rust, which means you can paint this right over rust. It seals out the moisture and the air, and it completely stops the rust. This stuff's been around forever, and it works great. Now, if you're going to use a product like this, you need to make sure the floors are as clean as possible, especially down in the cracks where the weather stripping goes, because that's usually where rust starts. All right, while the paint is drying, let's take a look at what we're going to put back in the old Chevy there. Now, we're not getting real fancy here. We're just restoring it back to original shape. So we went to LMC truck because they make pretty much every part for every truck ever made. As you can see, we got brand new door panels because obviously ours were gone. And then we have some new stainless trim and handles to go with the door panel. We have the carpeted part that goes below the door. We have carpet for the kick panels. We have armrests. We've got all the plastic that goes around the perimeter of the cab. We got a new instrument bezel, and we got a new dash. Now this isn't just a dash cover, this is a real replacement dash, which is the only way to go on this kind of project. Then we also got some door weather stripping, we got a new carpet set, we got a headliner, and black leather upholstery. All of this is in black so we can break up some of the red that was going on in there. Now I know this looks like a lot of stuff, but believe it or not, you can do an interior rehash like this in just the course of a weekend, and that is a good project. Hey, we're back, and in the process of restoring the interior on this old 80s Chevy truck. Because if you've got an old truck of any kind, you know the interior's nasty and probably needs some attention. So the first thing we've done is pull out the carpet, the seats, the dash, and put some rust preventative paint on the floor to make sure it stays solid for another 30 years. Now, we're ready to put the new carpet in. The original sound deadening under the seat was still in excellent shape, so we'll reuse that. For the floor pans, the new carpet comes with a sound deadening pad bonded in place. So all you have to do is trim the carpet for the shifter and fit it in. Now, a lot of carpets have wrinkles from shipping, so using a heat gun will help you work the wrinkles out as you're fitting the carpet. For the best fit, work from the center out, trimming the excess off the ends as you fit the sill plates. The holes for the seat mount should be cut last, so you get everything in the right place. Okay, the next step is the dash, and we're going to get it ready to go in by putting in the new aluminum trim, the air conditioning vents, and the defroster vents, because these are all notorious for cracking on the original dashes, and LMC's got all this trim to bring your dash back to life. So there is no reason to try to reuse that old junk. Once everything is assembled, we'll bolt the dash in place, followed by the new instrument bezel. All right, door panels is where some people get nervous, especially when you consider we didn't even have door panels on this truck when we rolled it in. But it's not a problem because you can get brand new door panels and set them up the way that you want. Now, obviously, this did not come from LMC looking just like this. It's up to you to detail them and make them work with what's going on with your vehicle. Now, we got a lot of red and black going on with our truck, so we started with a black panel, and then we painted this insert with red color bond paint. Now, I know you're thinking, paint on plastic? That's just gonna chip right off of there, man. Now, color bond is a paint that actually bonds at a molecular level. So if you've prepped the panel right, this stuff is not coming off. Once the panel was dry, we added the trim piece and the handle. Now it's just a matter of mounting the new door panels in place, as well as the new carpeted section that fits underneath it. The original kick panels were in great shape, so those were repainted and fit with new carpet inserts and then mounted in place. Go ahead and push it. Got it. Okay, that brings up the final and most important part to an interior, the seat. Now, instead of putting an aftermarket seat in this truck, we're going to reupholster this old bench because, first of all, they're cool. Second of all, it's a heck of a lot cheaper than buying all new seats. So we're going to start by disassembling the seat and getting this old upholstery out of the way. Then, using the hog rings and pliers supplied with the kit, we'll install the new upholstery. Make sure that it's warm when you do this, and remember, if the seat foam is broken down or destroyed, it will need to be replaced. Now, just like the carpet, take your time working the wrinkles out and fitting the edges until you have it looking right. You didn't get that new carpet all nasty, did you?
I'm trying.
Wait, that's not mud on my shoes. And there you have it, from beat up, thrashed interior to like new in just a few hours. And we didn't spend a fortune doing this either. And once this truck is painted and all the glass repaired and the weather stripping in, it's going to be like this truck is brand new for a heck of a lot cheaper than buying something brand new, which makes a project like this a pretty smart thing to do.
Now, Quick Tip, brought to you by E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn.
You know, we're always talking about how important tools are, and it seems like there's always a new tool coming out to help you in the garage. But one of the most important tools to come along in a long time didn't come from a car guy. It came from a computer geek. It's the cell phone. Now, obviously, you can check your emails with this thing, you can take pictures, you can make crazy videos and send them to your friends, but there's a better use for it. It will allow you to take pictures of something that might be giving you a problem or a part that you might need. Then you can take the picture down to the auto parts store, to the machine shop, to the paint place, and show them exactly what you need. This will alleviate all that miscommunication that happens when you're trying to describe a part you have no idea what it is, or the guy at the counter is trying to figure out what the heck you're talking about. This is such a time saver that it should be mandatory on the belt of every car guy, right alongside your pocket knife. If you'd like to learn more tips to make your life easier in the shop, check out the tips page on the website.
And now, Parts Bin, brought to you by Air Raid, American-made quality and performance since 1992.
Without a doubt, one of the biggest issues that people face with any vehicle, new or old, are scratches in the paint. Now, I'm not talking about big, nasty scratches that have to be repainted. No, I'm talking about the little spider scratches and hazes that happen to any paint job over time and can make your paint look dead or hazy. Now, in the past, you had a couple of different choices. You could use a professional style buffer on it, which is a great tool, but if you didn't know how to use it, you could tear up your paint pretty quick. Then there was the DA style polisher, which is great for wax, but they really don't have the balls to get the scratches out of modern paint. Fortunately, there is a third choice, and it comes from Wizards. It's the Wizard 21 Big Throw Polisher and the SSR kit. Check this out. The Big Throw Polisher is a variable speed, easy start design that has a huge 21mm orbit, which gives a lot of movement like a traditional buffer, but it also has dual action, which means it won't overheat or burn your paint. The SSR system stands for Swirl and Scratch Remover, and it includes the Mystic Cut Compound and a microfiber pad and a foam pad for cutting, polishing, and finishing. Then you've got the Mystic Nano Wax and Gray Pad for an incredible shine and protection, and of course you've got some detailing cloths for wiping it all down. So, whether you're working on a show car or you just want your daily driver to look the best that it can, you need to take it to the Wizard and work some magic on it. Everybody knows that if you have a Jeep, you put accessories on it. That's what you do. And the Jeep TJ is easily one of the most modified vehicles on the planet when it comes to accessories. But the question is, where do you put all those switches and relays to run all those accessories? The answer? The painless trail rocker system for the Jeep TJ. Take a look. This allows you to mount 8 LED switches on the dash of your Jeep without cluttering things up. Now, up under the hood, you have the weatherproof power center that holds 8 30-amp relays and 30-amp fuses, so you're going to have plenty of power. And in typical painless fashion, it's a simple bolt-in deal, and all the hookups are just plug and play. So you're going to be able to get out and enjoy your Jeep and your accessories and not spend a lot of time trying to make them work. So if you own a Jeep TJ and you like to put lights and winches and other junk on there, you've got to have a trail rocker to make them work. You know, one of the most important tools that you can have in a shop is a creeper, because it's one of the best ways to get up underneath a vehicle. But as great as they are, there are some limitations to a creeper. Namely, that every single one of them is susceptible to sticking a wheel into a crack or hanging it up on a rock or a bolt. That's why most people just toss their creepers aside, throw down a piece of cardboard, and get under the car that way. Well, now you can toss the cardboard because there's something called the Magic Creeper. Check it out. The Magic Creeper is a circle of material that's textured on one side and it's slick on the other, so it slides against itself. That way, when you lay it on the ground, it gives you up to 3 feet of movement forward and back over rocks, dirt, glass, spiders, snakes, whatever. The material is padded, it's tough, and it's washable, which makes it a lot better than your beloved cardboard. The best part is you can roll this thing up and throw it in the trunk of your car so you have it just in case you need to make some emergency roadside repairs. If you're into cars, or if you like driving four-wheelers, eventually you're going to have to get under them and work on them. One of the best ways to do that is with a magic creeper.
Tool Tech, brought to you by Cornwell Tools, the choice of professionals.
You know, there's no question that an old truck is a great vehicle to pick up as a project because you can slam them down on the ground, you can jack them up, you can take them racing, you can take them off-roading, you can just beat the tar out of them, and that's great. And you can usually pick them up a lot cheaper than a car. But there is one problem that you run into when you're restoring or building a truck that you don't run into with a car, and that is, how do you get the bed off so you can get underneath it and work on it? Well, in the past, you either had to have a crane or a hoist or 4 or 5 big old dudes to help you lift the bed off and set it aside. And if you didn't have the tools or the friends, you were kind of out of luck. Well, that all changed when Proline Tool and Supply came out with the Motor City Lift King. Now, this is an American-made tool designed to allow one person to pull the bed off of a truck and store it. Now, I know you're probably thinking, what? That's impossible. That weird-looking tool can do that? You're going to have to prove that. And that is exactly what we're going to do. By lifting the bed off of this old nasty Ford in about the same amount of time it takes you to go to the bathroom. Because both are things you don't want to spend a lot of extra time doing, and you definitely need to make sure you're doing them right. Now, once you have the bed unbolted and the tailgate removed, just roll in the Lift King and unfold the legs. You'll notice that the legs are longer than what you'd find on an engine hoist, and you're going to see why in just a few minutes. Now, roll the Lift King under the truck and slide the side supports into the tailgate pivots and lock them down. Next comes the lifting arm, and it just telescopes out to about mid-bed and then adjusts out to hook under the bed sides. Then the upper adjustment allows you to dial in the angle perfectly, whether the truck is sitting level or not. Now just crank the handle of the winch and watch the bed come straight up off of the frame. No twisting, no bending, no swinging, no hitting the cab, just straight up. Finally, you can just roll the bed out of the way and you're ready to go to work. Now, notice that the longer legs are what give you the extra support, so you can easily move the bed around without worrying about tipping it over. The best part is, though, now the Lift King becomes a dolly, and you can move the bed around the shop wherever you want. Or you can hold it steady while you work on it, and you'll still have easy access to the bottom if you need it. Now, if storage space is an issue with a bed like this, Proline Tools also has a boom tilt attachment, which will allow you to rotate the bed way up to take up a lot less room. And that way you can also get underneath the bed and do some sandblasting or painting or whatever. They also have an attachment where you can use that tool to replace doors on your vehicle. They've got one to lift a fiberglass topper off of a bed. They've even got one to lift a fiberglass nose off of a semi-truck, all using that tool. So if you've got a pickup and you're sitting here scratching your head wondering how you're going to get the bed off when you're all by yourself, you need a Motor City Lift King.
And now, what are you working on? Brought to you by Carrera, Motorsports at Home.
Today's What Are You Working On comes from Anthony Badant. He's 14 years old, and he lives in Derry, Pennsylvania. Now, he says that he's always loved hot rods and cars, but he's never had the chance to do a project. So you're probably thinking, so what's the point here? Well, the story doesn't end there, because he said he was looking at his neighbor's old Murray lawn tractor, and he got an idea. said he wanted to make it look like a roadster or a vintage racer. So the first thing that he did was switch out the front tires with wheelbarrow tires, and he put bigger tires on the back. And of course, he said the stock hood didn't look right, so he found an old fiberglass John Deere hood and started cutting and chopping on that until he got the look that he wanted there. Now, he said it still looked a little bit off, so he got with that neighbor, and they lowered the front by chopping out the axle and welding a new axle right to the frame. Now, of course, Anthony wanted it to go faster, so he changed out the transmission for a 5-speed with a smaller pulley, and he pulled off the muffler to give it a better sound. I like this kid. This is awesome. Finally, he put on 3 coats of New Holland yellow paint and started terrorizing the neighborhood. Now, Anthony says this was his first big project with an engine, but it definitely won't be his last because he loves it. Well, Anthony, let me tell you, every gearhead out there is laughing with you because we all did exactly the same thing, and it was a ball. So to recognize your project, we hooked up with our buddies at Carrera. We're going to give you one of their Evolution Fast Classics race sets so you can race with your buddies, you can race that neighbor of yours, and have a good time with that. Also, we're going to hook you up with one of our project planning books for that first big project of yours so you keep it organized and don't get in over your head. Also, we're going to give you one of our Sergeant Rock shirts, one of the die casts, one of the picks, and an O'Reilly gift card so you can save some money when you need some auto parts. Now, for the rest of you guys, if you want to get in on this, have your project featured on the show, you got to go to the website, go to Gearz Nation, and submit your project. We pull all of our inclusions right off of Gearz Nation. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that social media, so you know what's going on behind the scenes. All right, I got a lot of work to do here. I know you got something to work on. Get out there and work on it. We'll see you next time.